Okay, so this is a typical problem for a reducing balance home loan. It also works the same way if you have super and you're withdrawing money, or if you have super and you were increasing it, you would put a plus in between the two equations instead of a minus. Let's have a look at it. So this is looking for the final balance, but we're going to put A for amount, final amount, so it works in all your problems. Then you have a principal, which usually grows at a compound interest rate. And then in this case, you're making repayments, so you're reducing, so you're taking away that total balance, and you're taking away a particular repayment, and with the interest involved over the different events, that becomes your annuities formula, which is the first one on the general methods formula sheet. Now, if this was superannuation and you were growing it, you put a plus in between those two. That's the only difference. You have some super and you keep adding to it and it grows, so you're adding them together. This is reducing, so reducing the balance of the loan, so we're subtracting money and making it get smaller. All right, in this instance, the couple borrowed 50 grand, so the principal was the 50 grand. And then our interest, now the interest is 10.2% per annum, but it's monthly. So you need to divide that 10.2 by 12. So I like to do it as a 10.2 divided by 1200 because you need to get it into a decimal. So 10.2 divided by 100, then divide again by 12. Now looking at this one, they started on the 12th of January and we want to know how much is owing in May. That's 4 months. So the time of compounding events would be 4. Now, the couple was repaying $931.34 every month, okay? And the interest over here, 1 plus, same thing, 10.2 on 1,200, and then 4 minus 1 over the 10.2 on 1,200. Now, if I was you, I would put those into my calculator separately, and you come up with these answers or close to, depending on your rounding, so 79009. So I would store that in my calculator as one letter so that I don't have to write all those decimals down or so that I have to type them back in. And then I do the second half of the equation on my calculator and I get another number. Okay, and again, I could store that as another letter in my calculator, and then I could just do, for example, X take Y, if that's what I stored them as, and what we end up with is $47,948.67. So that's the amount owing after 4 months, right? Because you've been reducing it, but you haven't reduced it by 4 lots of 931 because you were gaining interest on what you borrowed as well. So you've reduced it by less than that, but that's the idea of it. Now, there is a second question there, and it says how much interest has been paid to the bank during this period. Okay, so we need to ask ourselves, well, how much did we pay the bank? So I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to change the colour pen. So how much did we pay the bank? All right, well, we paid them $931.34 4 times. All right, that's the amount we paid the bank. So $3,752.36. That's how much we gave to the bank. Okay. Now, we ask ourselves then, how much was the loan reduced by? How much was the loan reduced by in these 4 months? All right, so it was, I'll just come down here now, it was $50,000. And after 4 months, it was this much. So it was reduced, all right, down to $47,000. And that amount that it was reduced here was $2,051.33. So that's what the loan was reduced by. So even though we paid $3,752, the loan only went down $2,051. Where'd that extra money go? Well, that extra money was the bank's interest. We paid the bank interest on the loan, and in the end, we didn't really pay that much off, right? Significant difference. So the interest is equal to what we paid, the total we paid, so it was a 236, and subtract how much we reduced the bank by. So we paid $3,700, but we only reduced the loan by the $2,000. Okay, so the difference is the interest. In this case, $1,614.06 of interest in just 4 months. All right, good luck with your exam. If that helped, drop a line in the comments.